Hello, hello, hello. Guys, I'm back. So, as you can probably tell from the video, I never intended these three losers to become MVPs on my page, but I don't know. I really do think that the Meghan announcement of season two has broken the rota because, guys, this is a true testament of how much I love you. That I've actually had to speed listen to this nonsense to find the parts because there will be parts that cover Meghan and Harry. For those of you who are not going to watch this, you lucky people, they decided on Tuesday to do a Q&A, which if you know how these idiots behave, what they've done is they've gone to I don't know if these are even real questions from Twitter. I find it hard to believe. But let me play along. Anyway, so they've basically got some questions and decided let them get nice softball elementary school questions anybody can Google and answer themselves for other members of the royal family. And of course, let's get the snarky, nasty ones about Harry and Meghan because the narrative they planned on using and beating for the next few months has been destroyed around will Meghan's show be renewed. And notice how they stopped criticizing Meghan's show almost immediately. I mean, there are still some repetitive talking points that I see, but it's not even worth. We've already been through them over and over again. But I think they've understood that the wind has completely been removed from their sails because what they were hoping to achieve with the criticism didn't work. Season 2 has already been filmed and shot and it's coming out in the fall. So they've kind of like, okay, fine, that didn't work, let's change tact. These people are shameless and they are useless. So let's listen to this nonsense and react accordingly.
You're terrible.
I think I know where this is going as well.
From Margaret Wolfe, who asked, when will Charles III take away the Sussex titles? While Savannah Dawkins was more direct, how long is KC3? KC3 sounds a bit R2D2 to me. So how long is KC3 going to put up with the dastardly duo without taking their titles away? Now, Richard, they're no longer HRHs, but from a technical point of view, could he take away the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex?
Strictly speaking, they are actually still HRHs, but like with Prince Andrew, they were just not asked not to use those titles in official business.
Yeah.
But KC3, or King Charles III, as we
It might stick,
we prefer to
KC3.
refer to him.
Yeah.
The truth is, he can do that whenever he wants. I've called for him to do this in several articles
You have?
that I've written, but so far he hasn't listened to me.
Oh.
But no, he can do it whenever he wants. It's very straightforward, and he issues, some command or however you want to say it, letters patent,
Okay.
sends it to Parliament, gets parliamentary approval for them to have their title stripped or for them to be removed, from Harry to be removed from the line of succession. So it can be done whenever he chooses.
I mean, it would be a big antagonistic move, wouldn't it, Rebecca?
Yeah, and I've nailed my colours to the mast on this, from day one, having spoken to people, pretty close to the king. And the feeling was from the start to do that would be seen as unduly punitive. It would be almost like echoing what happened to his late mother. And I think as we said just a few minutes ago, that there were those that felt that was unfair on the Princess of Wales, the late Princess of Wales, and it's just not something he would do. I mean,
You don't want to give him something else to whinge about.
yeah, exactly. Well, it would add to that sense of victimhood.
Yeah.
And I think certainly as we film this programme, and who knows the twists and turns that is going to go on over the years to come, but the feeling is that at some point there may be a time that the King and Prince Harry might start to repair their relationship slightly, and if he was to have done that, that would have probably been quite a big stumbling block to it. So who knows? Look, I mean, you can never say never, but I really think that's not going to happen in that case.
Okay, well, you've heard it here first. Now, we're sticking with the Sussexes for now.
So, as I said, they had nothing to talk about. They wanted to talk about the Sussexes. So they created content to do so because they've just been humiliated. I think it's kind of, I don't know if they plan on sticking to this thing that they are doing where they pretend or pretend like they don't actually want to cover the Sussexes, so they hide it with something, because they've never done this before. I don't think, I don't follow these idiots, but I don't think they were posting outside Thursday unless something happened that was momentous. And in many cases, the momentous thing was anything that had to do with the Sussexes. To answer the question, I think ignore Maureen, because Maureen, we all know, is just a liar, and anybody who actually reads what he writes, why? He lies. He makes things up himself and lies. He's more or less confirmed that people have told him. He doesn't know anything. How can you call yourself a royal reporter and you don't know that it is very unlikely, even though they think the king can, and maybe he can actually, he's not going to do it. Nobody, but then again, I still stand very firmly and I believe in my heart, nobody has told Maureen, big head, or slapped ass anything about this. Nobody has said anything about this. They are just making it up, as they do. These people are liars. They lie. They need content because these idiots need to make money, right? So yeah. But for those of you that were kind of thinking, I wanted to say maybe you've gotten your answer, but I don't trust these people, so I guess we will never know. Do I think the king is going to be petty and take it? I really don't think Harry and Meghan will give a crap, frankly. They might want it for the sake of their of their children, because it's their birthright. But if it comes with certain caveats, I think we've come to an agreement at this point that what Harry and Meghan have been able to do on their own is admirable. And I think, despite the fact that the press likes to tell us otherwise, Harry is still very much his father's child. I secretly believe that his father is probably proud of him, frankly, that he's been able to do something no other person in the royal family has been able to do. Go out, not only survive and thrive thanks to his wife, build wealth, because I don't know, this is how I say they need Meghan, because have you noticed they never talk about Harry? They never talk about Harry. Despite all their bashing him, they never... Even when they bash him, there is still that layer of respect, because despite what they are saying here, right, they know he is still the king's biological child. There's a line they cannot cross. That's why they go after Meghan so much. Okay, Meghan is... But Harry, no. Because they push, but not hard enough. If they wanted to, they could have massacred him, but they don't do that. And... Not just that, they don't properly research into Harry. Harry went to a Better Up conference last week. No one knew. How is that possible? I mean, yeah, of course, nothing leaks out of Montecito. I don't think anybody reported it. Please correct me if I checked. I didn't see anything. They barely said anything. They're not checking the amount of time they spent. These people have spent their own money tracking Meghan's trademarks. They were so busy chasing Meghan's Arrow trademarks, they didn't even notice or take note of the fact that As Ever was coming out. They can give you the full blow-by-blow and timeline of Meghan's business, but nobody seems to know anything about Harry. Now, I think it's two things. I think because Harry has always carried, as a member of the royal family, a certain amount of privacy and security that people like him will always get. You will never know what's in Harry's bank account, so don't even bother. The same thing has now extended to Meghan and the kids. But I think because Meghan does businesses, yeah, that's how they're able to get access to her trademarks and the rest. But it's an interesting interplay. I just wanted you guys to catch up with me and notice. They always... Even though they kind of make shady comments about Harry, they never actually go after him the way they go after Meghan. I'm very curious about that. Please feel free to put your thoughts in the chat. Personally, for me, I think it's a kind of respect thing. They know that they remember he's still very much the king's son, and they still want to be good in with because like all family feuds, eventually people will heal and hopefully recover, and they still want to be in with the royal family, and they don't want to push too hard or push too far. But let's see. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Now, the Sussexes as they are. Judy Kay Anderson asks, does Harry own any of the properties owned by the royals or by England and loaned to the family? I feel like you're going to know everything on this, Richard. Does he?
What?
So no, he doesn't. And their last property they had was Frogmore Cottage, which was given to them as a gift by Queen Elizabeth, and then that's all gone. And that's one of the big things about quitting royal duties, leaving the country. I mean, my goodness, if Harry and Meghan had stayed, I mean, I'm sure they would have been very generously looked after by King Charles. And, for example, they would have...
Everything this foolish man is about to say, ignore. For those of you that read Harry's book, you all know this is utter and complete nonsense. This is a lie. The Frogmore cottage was given to them by the Queen, yes, as a gift, which the vindictive prick of a father took back. But the renovations on that house, everything was out of Meghan and Harry's pocket. I think Meghan was out of Harry and Meghan's pocket. It was Harry and Meghan that paid to renovate the house, do a lot of things to the house. And from what I understand, they've not received their money back. The king took a gift given to them by the Queen back because he was angry that Harry wanted to just get away and protect his family. So don't let these idiots come and retell the story. The king took away a gift because he's petty.
Would have almost certainly been given a Scottish residence, I would have thought.
Oh, come on now.
And there's various places that they would have been offered. We've seen with William and Catherine that they have, they've got a country place in Norfolk, they've got a place at Windsor,
Maureen, you're
and Kensington
lying.
Palace. So Harry and Meghan would have had places like that, but they've instead they prefer their villa in Montecito, California.
Indeed.
I mean, you've seen the Montecito property. There is no property in the UK that can even compare. What are you talking about? You guys have seen the videos Meghan posts from her garden. Look at that sun. What? I mean, come on. Nobody in this family can afford... Okay, well, let me not lie. Because they all have inheritances from the Queen. Maybe the senior royals. But come on now. Would you take any of these rotten, fallen down, cold castles where, to some extent, they are part of the castles you can't even properly move around? They're acting like these estates are cheap to be. So how are you going to heat those estates up? You're going to be sucking and draining the taxpayer to heat up your estate. Harry and Meghan are using their own money to live off their Montecito property. Thank you very much, you bitter queen. And as I said, guys, everything Maureen is saying is a bald-faced lie. So just ignore that nonsense.
But Rebecca, obviously, our king is a man of some means. If he wanted to, he could provide Harry with property, but I guess in the current situation, is that quite complicated?
I suppose he could provide them with a property out of his personal fortune as a father. Buy him a house somewhere. I mean, he could do that. They don't tend to do that, but, he could do. Because, of course, a lot of these properties are what we call Crown Estate properties, so they're not actually the King's property. It's actually owned by an independent organisation, but obviously with very close links with the Crown.
So, let me repeat what she just said. The properties are not owned by the royal family. They are owned by a private organisation with strong links to the Crown. My business is not actually my business. It's not owned by me. But because I am a director in my business, I have very strong links to my business. Did you catch that? But clearly they think we're stupid. Well, I mean, if you're still believing this garbage at this point, then I don't know what to tell you. All of these things they are saying is a lie. It's just a very clever way, because when you're dealing with the royal family who have been hoarding wealth for centuries, these people are the OGs. In fact, I want them. The only thing, if they don't teach us anything, the one thing that I would take from them is a free course, which they will never make free, explaining to us how they've hired accounting firms, banks, institutions. You know that in London, and you see that a lot, there are specific banks, hedge funds that are just primarily to serve a few clients, maybe one or two or three people. They don't even need to be, they don't need a big portfolio of clients as in terms of individual or company counts, but their portfolios are in the trillions. You will never know whose money is moving around. You see it in London, you see it in Switzerland, you see it anywhere where there are financial dealings. You see it in New York. These billionaires, people like the royal family, the top 0.1%, you will never know how much money they own. You will never know. And these people are still collecting taxes from us to take care of all these homes this idiot is referring to. How does that feel? Taxpayers.
Which is why they will have a lot of these properties on long-term leases, such as Royal Lodge. Prince Andrew has a 150-year lease on it. It's a Crown Estate property. So although we say it's his house, he ultimately doesn't own it. He couldn't sell it.
And that's another thing, very quickly. I don't know how many of you guys heard about Prince Andrew's yet another ridiculous business dealing. That man is just a dumbass. But on the other hand, do you know what? Let me stick on topic. And it came out that because of the fact that Prince Andrew is a pervert and he allows people to take advantage of him and use his name for business dealings, the king was using it as I've had enough reason. You need to move out of the lodge you're in, which is a big, I think £50 million lodge, and he paid a lot of money for the lease. That part, she's right. But one thing I observed is after thrashing him in the press, the king kept on dropping hints, get out of the lodge, get out of the lodge. This guy did not budge. And all of a sudden, everything went quiet. Why did everything go quiet? Why did suddenly everything go quiet? I think what happened is this, right? Because contrary to what this silly woman is saying, the king does own, or at least partly own, has enough leadership in Crown Estates to say who goes where. That lease thing that they do is just for the sake of the accounts. Because don't forget, people's annoyance with the royal family didn't just start. It's been going on for decades, for centuries even. And they tend to throw us a bone. Like sometimes the Prince Charles would release his tax returns. William actually has refused to release his tax returns. Interesting, no? But I think it's because Charles is clever enough to know that, okay, let me show them some of this. Like Charles is known for the Prince's Trust, right? Let me show them these charities, these things, maybe small pieces of how money is moving around. Pay some taxes to give them a sense of things being above board. The same thing with this lease. Okay, let me move money around and make it seem like Andrew actually paid for a lease. They're not throwing Andrew out. And Andrew knows he's not being thrown out. No one can throw Andrew out of that house. And if they do, I'm very sure Andrew threatened them that, look, if you guys threaten to throw me out of this house again, Andrew can leak things. And with everything that's happened, and with the information that Harry has released to protect himself, clear his name, and to kind of, in my opinion, send a warning to the royal family, if you come after me and my family, there are things I can still say. With everything that has happened, the bad press they are suffering, contrary to what their fake polls are saying, who wants that smoke? I don't blame the king for saying, okay, you know what, let's give him a minute. That's what I think anyway. I'm happy to be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. Not really. I may not have the full story, but I think it's something like that.
You know, the assumption is that lease may be then taken up by another generation of the royals. And obviously Frogmore was one of those such properties. So if Harry decided he wanted to come back and spend more time in the UK because he'd cleared up these ongoing concerns he's got about security or had repaired his relationship with his family, they could still offer him a Crown Estate property. And of course, Frogmore is still empty. And has been empty ever since they were kicked out by the king because of this ongoing situation. So,
let me recap. The reason Harry and Meghan had to leave the UK is because the press would not stop bullying Meghan. The press would not stop harassing Meghan. It got to a point that Meghan wanted to kill herself. Harry begged for Kensington Palace to stop. They didn't. He begged for his father to intervene. He didn't. He begged for the Queen. She couldn't, or she tried. But because I think if you listen to his book, when he proposed the Sandringham, when they had the Sandringham, was it summit or whatever, they said, look, the press is too intrusive. They are bullying and hurting my family. Can we do... I understand that, okay, this is what comes with being a member of the royal family. According to them, we pay, you pose. No problem. Can we do half in, half out? and can we leave the UK? We will go to South Africa, somewhere in Africa. I think they initially said Africa. We'll stay there, away from the press. We'll just, but we will continue to work with the royal family. The royal family said no. From what I've been told, it was William that was very tantrumy and bitchy about it. He said no, no half and half. Either you're out, you're out. And they said, okay, fine, they'll go. But then they kept on leaking these discussions to the press. So Harry and Meghan just decided to get up and leave because they'd had enough. We're having discussions with you, but you're leaking it to the press. Why? To bully us to stay? So they went to Canada. While they were in Canada, because the royal family is cruel and wanted to force them back, they released their location. And the only thing that Harry got was a warning from his brother that they're going to pull your security, which he didn't believe they would do. And they pulled their security, exposing two people that are some of the most famous faces in the world. They left them alone in Canada, open for all types of predators. If not for Tyler Perry, I don't even know where Meghan and Harry would be right now. Can you imagine? If not for Tyler Perry. This is what the press will not return. This is why I can't take these people seriously. Because they are trying to rewrite history as if we can't read. And for those of you who might be coming onto my page and hasn't heard the story before, I want you to listen to what I am saying. They are lying. If you want to know what really happened, Harry's book is now on Spotify. Go and listen to that podcast. If you don't want to read the whole book, just fast forward to when he met Meghan and get a lovely love story. But stick with the story, and if you don't want to follow the chapters, go and you will find what happened when Harry and Meghan left and get the truth of the event, of the blow by blow. If you don't want to listen to the book or read the book, the documentary is on Netflix. Go and watch it. If you don't want to watch it on Netflix, I'm sure if you check YouTube, you will find clips and get the truth of what really happened. Don't let these people rewrite history.
You know.
Okay.
Prince Andrew takes up residence in it, and we don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
No, everyone's really down on Frogmore, I'll have it.
I mean, it's modest, I've been told, compared to something like Royal Lodge, but it's still a really glorious 5-bedroom home with stunning grounds in them.
In a very good location.
Yeah. location, as we know. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, there's one
Let's
more.
hear from Cindy Marchak now, who writes, from where I sit in Tucson, Arizona, in the USA, the middle of the...
About Harry, frankly, because they're
zoning them. Not a judgment, but a question and observation. I bet you've got something to say, Richard. How would you answer that?
Well, at the Daily Mail, our duty is to write about stories and people we think the readers will be interested in. And, we know that they are very interested in Harry and Meghan still. And, what's interesting is how that's changed, because people used to love reading about Harry, frankly, because they really loved him. He was the most popular member of the royal...
But he was the most popular member of the royal family, but you called him stupid. You would not let him grow up. You were reporting him being a teenager, struggling with the trauma of losing his mom. You tapped his phones, invaded his privacy, invaded the privacy of the girlfriends he tried to have, invaded the privacy of the friends he tried to have, got him to the point where he was terribly paranoid and scared that he wasn't sure who was leaking things to the press. Scared him so much that he didn't like staying in the UK. He would go to Africa and stay there for probably months at a time because he didn't want to be home. Because you scared him. He didn't know who to trust. That's on you, press. And I look forward to next year when Harry comes after the Daily Mail. You know what? Let me know.
royal family. But these days they seem to prefer sort of seeing what Harry and Meghan are doing, because it's sort of like cringe. It's not, oh no, what are they up to?
And Richard has decided that what he's going to do is feed that narrative by lying. Richard has basically just told us his formula, because he knows that the only engagement he gets is when he's posting or exaggerating or lying about the Sussexes. He's basically just telling us his entire play here. He regularly writes about them because that's the content that gets him the most engagement. And this is the person you, as a listener, who knows nothing about Harry and Meghan, this is the person you want to trust the opinion of. He has just contradicted himself 12 times in this small conversation that they've had. He's shown that he doesn't really know things. And this is who you want to trust for Harry and Meghan opinion pieces. Okay.
To now.
Yeah.
But they are still interested, for better or worse.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I would add to that to say that unfortunately some of the decisions they make still have an effect on our royal family, both practically and the way they're viewed publicly. And a lot of what they've done in recent years in terms of the books, the attacks on them, unfortunately that's something the family is still struggling to distance themselves from reputationally, which I would say is very unfair on the royal family, but unfortunately that's the way it is. So as I say, I think it will become less relevant as the years go on. For the time being, it still has an effect on our
And it's
family
unusual.
now.
I mean, come on, we've got, there's a programme with Meghan on Netflix.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. This is almost over. But let me just quickly say something. Harry and Meghan spoke about their experience in the royal family. And from what we've been made to understand, there are many things Meghan did not say. Not just, I'm sure, not because she actually cared about these people, but because she doesn't want to embarrass her husband, and she doesn't want to hurt her children, because these are still her family members. They are family members, right? A press that holds people to account would ask, why did you make circumstances so difficult for the first mixed race black woman to enter into the royal senior royal family? Do you think about the knock-on impact this would have if George falls in love with a non-white woman, or Charlotte, or Louis, sorry, I watch a lot of Interview with the Vampire, so I call everybody, I call Louis now, sorry. Because this is the same thing that happened to William. No accountability because of how people treated Diana. That is from what I've read, this is the primary reason why William could not find somebody other than Kate. A lot of the heiresses he wanted, other members of the royal, since they all marry each other, and other distinguished people that he actually wanted, they all looked at the situation and said, hell no. Hell no. Look at what you did to your mom. Now we're good. And imagine, to my example, imagine when George begins to get his consciousness, when George begins to hang out with people that are not in his bubble, and decides that, look, I've fallen in love with a Chinese girl, Indian girl, God help her, black woman. Oh man. Oh Lord. This type of thing will tank that relationship. Because let me tell you something, I'm not the most beautiful woman in the world, but if I do have my daughter and she comes to me one day to tell me that she wants to marry into British royal family, I will fall on my knees and beg her that, why are you trying to kill me? Just take a knife and stab me, it's easier. I will beg her. I will, if I'm still blogging, then I'll be like, have you lost your mind? Why would you want to marry into that? I will go and play Harry and Meghan, sit down and absorb this entire thing and tell me that you still want to enter this family. They have spoilt the pool for these children. I promise you they have. You'll see. The kids are growing up. I'm hoping that if William and Kate do nothing else, and God knows they're good at doing nothing, they give these kids more options. I really hope, for their sake. I didn't play it because she was just talking rubbish. I don't like talking about children. Becky Bighead was talking about how Charlotte is the boss of the family. She hasn't met this child before. Charlotte comes up as Princess Anne. I want to remind everybody that Becky hasn't met that child. And more importantly, Charlotte is a child. How do you know? Why are you already putting titles on these kids? Giving them character traits that they probably don't even understand or want to understand. Leave them alone. But anyway, as painful, I feel bad for the kids. But anyway, let's see.
a
Yeah.
whole series. Well, you don't often have members of the royal family having a whole series
I mean,
on TV.
it is news.
So
it's news.
we want to know what
Well,
that's about.
that brings me to a point I wanted to raise that's, you know, I have got a slight issue in the question of them wanting to live their lives privately. I just don't think they actually do want to live their lives privately. And I think a lot of people felt like, well, fair enough, they don't like being under the scrutiny of being part of the royal family, but I think they still want to be famous. Am I wrong?
I'm not gonna make. I don't think I'll play any more of this garbage because I'm tired. But I think it's interesting that she brings that up because the British press like to, if they want to be bastards, like to say things like, "I thought they wanted their privacy." Oh, but now they agree that actually Harry and Meghan were not asking you to give them privacy. And the funny thing about this whole thing is Harry and Meghan actually released a statement saying they never asked for privacy. What they did not want was the intrusions, the lies, the misrepresentations. The British and other press seem to enjoy putting on these people, which they haven't stopped, by the way. So it's very interesting that she brings that up. And I want to also say something, right? She gives the impression like they are celebrities. Do you guys, I don't know how many of you guys were following this thing, but I was on Twitter when the Telegraph, I think, there was, I think, for almost 18 months to almost, for a, you know, we don't hear from Meghan. Meghan seems like a homebody. She doesn't go anywhere. Do you know that the tabloid, it wasn't even a tabloid, I think it was a Telegraph, did a whole front page asking, where is Meghan? I was shocked, actually. I won't lie. That took me back a bit. Because they were seeing Harry. This was early last year or the year before. I can't remember. They hadn't seen Meghan for a few months. And they put it in bold letters. Where is Meghan? So it's very interesting how Meghan is at home building her business. Probably staying home with her kids. I don't know if she goes out like that. She might within her community. But she doesn't seem like somebody who is out and about. I don't see her about unless she's promoting something or the paparazzi happens to snap her going somewhere, which is very, very rare. So she's making it sound like as if Meghan is out every day posing on top of, standing here. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. No, she's not. She really isn't. I don't even think Harry is either. That's why they moved to Montecito. We're not going to hide in our houses. We're going to move around in our community. But we're going to move around in a place where we can at least have some privacy. Where the paparazzi can't just shoot you. Because there are laws in California that prevent them from just invading your privacy. Laws that the British royal family have refused to give their working royals as a way to protect them. But yeah, guys, I've done enough. I did this all for you. I did this because I love you guys. But yeah, I mean, I think the key thing I'm taking, I notice how like I said, I power watched this to the end. Ugh, they never mention With Love Meghan season 2 again. Oh God, they've been humiliated. I told you guys at the beginning, all the criticism has stopped, and even like you barely hear it now because it's done. Season 2 has been released. Very interesting to watch these people play. But anyway, I should thank them for the content. And I should thank you guys for paying attention and listening. Like I said, the aim of this page is to stop the disinformation and to slowly begin to take the wind out of these losers' sails. The only way we can hurt them, guys, is by not watching their content. That's why I'm doing it for you. As you begin to realize that these people are just liars, speculators, losers, I hope you don't feel as stressed as you normally would listening to them talk because they have no power. They are useless. So yeah, please like, please comment, please subscribe, please share, guys. I want to see if I can break 2,000. And I am seeing when I type Meghan, my video comes up, which is great. Please continue to share it so we can continue to start letting some goodness seep into the algorithm. We're getting there. I love you guys. Have a good one. Have a good night. Take care.